I view this as an act of betrayal, Victoria declared, her tone freezing as she gazed at me from beyond her grand wooden desk. Following all that Harbor Point Communications has provided for you. I sat facing her, gripping my handbag firmly to prevent my hands from trembling. The initial surprise of being summoned to her office at 9 a.m. on this Tuesday had faded, replaced by a sinking feeling in my gut as I comprehended what was unfolding. Victoria, No, she interrupted. Her flawlessly polished fingernail drummed against a hard copy of an email. Don't waste your breath denying it. I have verification that you met with North Bay Solutions last Thursday. You requested a half-day for a dentist visit, I recall. My identity is Addison Walker. I am 31 years of age and have committed 6 years of my career to Harbor Point Communications in Spokane, Washington. During these 6 years, I've expanded my client list threefold, generated millions in income, and gained the admiration of every significant account we manage. Yet evidently none of this held any weight at this moment. Security personnel will escort you to your workstation. You may gather your personal items, but your access to the building ends now. Victoria's tone remained flat as she pushed my corporate identification card across her desk. I've already deactivated your email account. The unfairness of the situation burned within my chest. For 3 consecutive years, I had entered this identical office carrying carefully prepared presentations demonstrating my accomplishments, market-standard salary comparisons, and appeals for an earned promotion. 3 years of challenging financial period explanations while Victoria proclaimed unprecedented earnings during quarterly gatherings. I inhaled deeply and rose, adjusting my jacket. I comprehend. Victoria appeared almost let down by my composed reaction. Maybe she had anticipated weeping or begging. Instead, I reached my hand across the desk. I hope Harbor Point and you achieve ongoing prosperity, I stated, my voice remaining steady despite the inner emotional chaos. She paused before quickly grasping my hand, bewilderment flashing in her eyes. While the security officer lingered uncomfortably near my workstation as I gathered my family photographs and 6 years' worth of desk vegetation into a corrugated container, I experienced unexpected tranquility. Co-workers cast worried looks in my direction, but I offered them comforting smiles. No theatrical displays, no confrontations, simply grace. Exiting through those transparent doors one final time, with April's warmth touching my face, I came to an important realization. Victoria believed she was disciplining me. She had never been more mistaken. While placing the container in my vehicle's storage area, my mobile device chimed with a text from David Kleen, Chief Executive Officer of North Bay Solutions. Could we advance our concluding conversation to today at 2 p.m.? I grinned. Victoria remained unaware of what awaited. It's amusing how 6 years of existence can be contained within one cardboard container. While driving away from Harbor Point with the box safely stored in my trunk, I contemplated everything that had brought me to this point. I had joined the organization straight from postgraduate studies, enthusiastic and resolute. Despite earning my marketing qualification from Washington State University, I had begun in a basic role, fetching beverages and arranging conference notes. Yet I labored tirelessly, remaining after hours, accepting challenging assignments others avoided, and cultivating connections with clients whom others had dismissed as overly demanding. Within 2 years, I was managing our intermediate-level accounts. By the 4th year, I had been given responsibility for North Bay Solutions, our most substantial client, representing approximately 30% of Harbor Point's yearly income. David Kleen, North Bay's chief executive, had specifically requested my services as their account supervisor after I had intervened during a crisis when their former representative had failed. You're the sole person who appears to grasp our requirements before we express them, he had informed me. From that point forward, the partnership between our organizations prospered, with North Bay renewing their agreement and increasing their marketing expenditure with us. Victoria had been satisfied then. This represents the type of proactivity we appreciate, she had stated, though that appreciation never reflected in my salary. My initial promotion request followed that achievement, armed with performance data and revenue figures that conveyed their own message. It simply isn't feasible financially this year, Victoria had clarified with a practiced expression of disappointment. However, your efforts are acknowledged. I had accepted it then. The economic climate had been unpredictable and I was still developing my portfolio. Yet the subsequent year, after securing 3 significant new clients and earning an industry recognition for a campaign I had created, the identical response emerged. "Next year will improve," she had assured. "We simply must reduce expenses slightly longer." Meanwhile, Victoria commuted in a new premium vehicle, and the organization rented an extra floor in our structure for growth. Still, I stayed faithful, trusting that commitment would ultimately be acknowledged. The third rejection occurred 6 months prior, immediately after I had successfully negotiated a 40% expansion in North Bay's yearly contract worth. "Your work is outstanding," Victoria had declared. "But we're funding infrastructure this year. Maybe we can reconsider this during the summer." Something within me had finally shattered. That evening I revised my curriculum vitae for the first time in 6 years. Not from fury or vengeance, but from self-regard. I deserved more than endless commitments and continuous rejection. I simply never anticipated Victoria would uncover my employment search before I was prepared to submit my resignation. At my residence, I positioned the cardboard container on my kitchen surface and gazed at it. The truth of recent events finally struck me. I wasn't merely between appointments or taking time off. I was without employment. The burden of it weighed on my chest, briefly making breathing challenging. My telephone rang, showing my closest friend Olivia's contact. "I just learned," she said when I responded. "Thomas messaged me. Are you all right?" Thomas served as Harbor's technology expert and Olivia's partner. Information spread rapidly. "I'm coping," I answered truthfully, settling onto a kitchen chair. "It occurred so rapidly." "It's entirely unjust," Olivia declared, her voice escalating with outrage. "Everyone understands you're the sole reason North Bay has remained with Harbor Point this long. Victoria is simply threatened because you exceed her abilities." There was validity to that statement. Victoria had previously been the organization's premier account representative before advancing to administration. Many of us believed she missed the acknowledgement and client connections, frequently involving herself unnecessarily in my meetings with North Bay. "The most troubling aspect is her method," I expressed, experiencing a surge of anger. As if I had committed corporate betrayal by seeking opportunities after being refused advancement for 3 consecutive years. "It's her mistake," Olivia responded firmly. "And honestly, Addison, perhaps it's beneficial. You've been underappreciated there for years." She spoke accurately. Naturally, I had remained at Harbor Point due to dedication to my clients and colleagues, not because it represented the optimal choice for my profession. But being dismissed in this manner, escorted out by security as though I were a criminal, that wounded profoundly. My phone signaled an incoming communication. "David Clean." "Olivia, I must handle this. It's North Bay. Go answer it. Contact me afterward," she said before disconnecting. I breathed deeply and responded. "Addison, I just discovered what occurred at Harbor Point," David stated, bypassing courtesies. "Are you free to visit today? I'd prefer to expedite our discussion." My pulse quickened. "Yes, I can arrive at 2 p.m. as you recommended." "Perfect. And Addison, don't concern yourself about this morning's events. Sometimes these situations resolve favorably." After ending the call, I examined my reflection in the kitchen glass. The woman staring back wasn't defeated. She was gaining freedom. I bathed and dressed in my finest outfit, the one I reserved for presenting to potential clients. While applying cosmetics, I felt an unusual serenity settle over me. Victoria thought she had punished me by terminating my employment so suddenly, but maybe she had benefited me. That morning had been degrading, but it had also been illuminating. I had provided Harbor Point my faithfulness, innovation, and numerous unpaid extra hours. In exchange, I had been underestimated and abandoned. Whatever followed next, I understood one certainty. I would never again offer my finest efforts to individuals who couldn't recognize my value. It was time to embrace my strength. North Bay Solutions headquarters filled the uppermost 3 levels of a brilliant glass structure in central Spokane. Unlike Harbor Point's outdated office with its tan walls and deteriorating furnishings, North Bay adopted contemporary design. Open areas, collaborative spaces, and window walls displaying mountain vistas. While ascending to the 30th floor, I mentally practiced what I would express during my interview. I would need to explain my immediate availability without appearing resentful about Harbor Point. Maintaining professionalism was essential, even when discussing uncomfortable circumstances. The elevator doors revealed David Clean himself awaiting in the reception space. Addison. He welcomed me cordially, offering his hand. Thank you for arriving on such brief notice. David was in his early 50s with graying hair and a reputation for being both intelligent and equitable, qualities I had grown to value during our 3 years of collaboration. I value the adaptability, I responded, grasping his hand confidently. It's been an unforeseen day. Let's converse in my office, he suggested, guiding me through the active workplace. Several North Bay staff members I recognized from our account activities waved or acknowledged us as we proceeded. David's corner office was understated compared to Victoria's display piece, but infinitely more inviting, with comfortable seating arranged for dialogue rather than intimidation. Coffee, he offered. Please. Once we were situated with steaming cups, David addressed the matter directly. I received a communication from Victoria Sanders this morning, he started. She notified me that you would no longer manage the North Bay account and that she would personally supervise our business until a substitute was designated. I nodded, maintaining my expression neutral despite the minor surge of anger. Naturally, Victoria would attempt to retain their largest client personally. What she doesn't realize, David continued, is that we were already troubled about our relationship with Harbor Point. This caught me off guard. Troubled? The recent campaign results surpassed projections by 23%. The results were outstanding, he concurred. Due to your efforts. But we've observed changes at Harbor Point during the past year. Delayed responses, quality problems with anyone besides you, and frankly, a feeling that they're presuming our business. He placed his coffee cup down and leaned closer. 3 months ago, our board recommended we investigate other marketing partners. I objected because of our relationship with you. You've repeatedly shown an understanding of our brand and business requirements that exceeds the typical client-agency relationship. My thoughts raced. Was he suggesting what I believed he was suggesting? When you contacted us about potential opportunities here, David continued, it seemed like ideal timing. But I must clarify something. We were never intending to recruit you. We respect professional limits too greatly for that. We were willing to wait until you provided proper notice at Harbor Point. I was planning to give 14 days notice, I said, feeling it was important he understood, once I received a definite offer. David smiled. I trust you. Your professionalism is among the reasons we're having this discussion. Victoria's choice this morning simply accelerated our schedule. He opened a file on his desk and passed a document to me. This isn't an interview, Addison. It's an employment offer. Director of Client Strategy. You would construct and lead a team to oversee all our external marketing partnerships and agency relationships. I glanced at the paper and my breathing stopped when I noticed the salary amount. It was nearly twice what I had been earning at Harbor Point, more than I would have even requested in my most recent denied raise appeal. This is very generous, I managed. It's market value for someone with your background and demonstrated success, David corrected. Sometimes departing a situation is necessary to understand your true value. The offer document rested on my kitchen table that evening, signed and prepared to be submitted tomorrow. I had requested David for the night to examine everything, though we both understood my response would be affirmative. Still, taking time to contemplate significant decisions was a professional courtesy I practiced even when the answer appeared clear. My phone had been active all afternoon with messages from former coworkers at Harbor Point. News of my termination had circulated quickly, followed by speculation about my meeting at North Bay. I had replied to several close colleagues but avoided becoming involved in office rumors. A message from Thomas arrived. Victoria conducted an emergency meeting after you departed, informed everyone you were dismissed for violating company loyalty, and that we should all remember that Harbor Point values loyalty above everything. The contradiction wasn't overlooked by anyone. I shook my head. Victoria was attempting to make me an example, but from Thomas's message, it appeared her strategy might be failing. Another message came, this one from Jessica, our front desk coordinator. She's been confined in her office making calls all afternoon. Appears anxious. Suppose someone's concerned about North Bay. I didn't respond. There was no pleasure in Victoria's distress. Only renewed confidence that I had made the correct choice to seek alternatives. A company culture that demanded loyalty but provided nothing in return wasn't one I wished to participate in anymore. My phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Curious, I answered. Addison Walker? A woman's voice inquired. Speaking. This is Elaine Winters. I serve on the board at Harbor Point Communications. My stomach contracted. Board members rarely involved themselves in employee issues. I understand there was a situation today concerning your employment, she continued. I'd like to meet with you tomorrow to address it. Victoria may have acted rashly in her decision. So that was it. Victoria had dismissed her most valuable account manager without board consent. And now with North Bay potentially departing, damage control was needed. I appreciate the call, Ms. Winters, but I've already accepted another role, I said, maintaining my tone respectful yet firm. Pause. May I inquire where? I don't believe that would be suitable to share at this moment. Another extended pause. Addison, if this concerns compensation, I'm confident we can revisit those discussions. The board recognizes your contribution to Harbor Point. The irony was almost unbearable. 3 years of documented, rejected requests for appropriate compensation, and now suddenly the board recognized my contribution. It's not solely about compensation, I replied honestly. It's about respect and acknowledging employee value before they have one foot out the door. Perhaps we should discuss this face to face, she insisted. Tomorrow morning. I considered it. While I had no intention of returning to Harbor Point, there was merit in professional closure. I can meet at 9 a.m., I agreed. But to be transparent, I've signed an employment agreement elsewhere. I'm not coming to negotiate a return. Understood, Elaine said, though her tone suggested she didn't believe me. I'll see you tomorrow at our offices. After disconnecting, I poured myself wine and stepped onto my apartment terrace. The spring evening was cool but agreeable, the city lights starting to sparkle as twilight settled. Tomorrow would bring a conversation I hadn't expected to have, but perhaps it was necessary. A chance to express what had gone wrong at Harbor Point. Not just for my own closure but as feedback that might benefit those who remained. My phone buzzed with an email notification from David Clean. Subject line, "Welcome to the team." Whatever happened tomorrow, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't looking backward. The Harbor Point reception space felt odd to enter as a guest. Jessica's eyes expanded when she saw me, her professional smile wavering. Addison, you're here for the meeting with Ms. Winters. That's correct, I confirmed, signing the visitor registry. Another surreal moment. I'll inform her of your arrival, Jessica said, then lowered her voice. For what it's worth, everyone's discussing how wrong this was. You were the finest among us. Her words touched me. Thank you, Jessica. The elevator journey to the conference room provided a moment to center myself. I had dressed professionally in a navy outfit, not to impress, but to remind myself and everyone else that I was approaching this meeting as an equal, not as a dismissed employee seeking redemption. Elaine Winters was already present when I arrived, a thin folder before her. In her 60s, with silver hair styled in a precise cut, she possessed the composed confidence of someone accustomed to making million-dollar decisions before breakfast. Ms. Walker, thank you for coming, she said, rising to shake my hand. Please take a seat. I expected Victoria to participate, but as Elaine closed the door, it became evident this would be a private discussion. I've examined your personnel record, Elaine began, opening the folder. 6 years of outstanding performance evaluations, consistent expansion in your account portfolio, and 3 formal requests for salary adjustment, all rejected. She looked up at me. I was unaware of this pattern. This surprised me. I had assumed compensation decisions were examined at the board level. Major compensation modifications, yes, but management has discretion within certain limits, Elaine explained. Her expression remained neutral, but her tone suggested disapproval. Victoria has been operating with considerable independence. I understand. What I don't observe, she continued, is documentation justifying your termination yesterday. There's no company policy prohibiting interviews with other organizations. I kept my response controlled. The term used was disloyal. Elaine's eyebrow raised slightly. An interesting choice given the circumstances. She closed the folder. Ms. Walker, I'll be straightforward. The board would like to offer you reinstatement with the adjusted compensation you requested in your last review, plus a 10% increase and the title of Senior Account Director. The offer exceeded anything Victoria had been willing to consider, but it arrived 3 years and one humiliating dismissal too late. That's a generous offer, I acknowledged. But as I mentioned on the phone, I've already accepted a position elsewhere. At North Bay Solutions, Elaine stated, not questioning. I didn't confirm or deny, maintaining professional boundaries. My new role begins Monday. Elaine studied me for a moment. Victoria is concerned North Bay may reconsider their relationship with Harbor Point given your departure. And there it was, the real reason for this meeting. Not concern for how I'd been treated, but fear of losing a major client. That would be a question for North Bay, I replied carefully. Indeed, Elaine nodded, seeming to appreciate my discretion. One final question, if I may. What could Harbor Point have done differently to retain you? The question was unexpected but welcome. I took a moment to consider my response. Recognize my value before I had to look elsewhere to find it, I said simply. Loyalty works both ways, Ms. Winters. Harbor Point expected unwavering commitment while repeatedly demonstrating I wasn't worth investing in. That creates an unsustainable imbalance. Elaine nodded thoughtfully. A fair assessment. She stood, extending her hand. Thank you for your candor. Whatever your next steps, I wish you success. Walking out of Harbor Point for the second and final time, I felt lighter than I had in years. This meeting hadn't been about giving me a second chance. It had been about giving me a chance to reclaim my narrative, to leave on my terms, with my dignity and professional reputation intact. I'd been granted an unexpected gift: closure. Monday morning arrived with a blend of excitement and nervousness. My new position at North Bay Solutions officially commenced today, and with it, a fresh chapter in my professional life. I arrived early, eager to settle into my new office. A genuine office with a door and windows, not the cramped cubicle I'd occupied at Harbor Point despite my senior role. David had arranged for everything to be ready, including a welcome basket and technology setup. At 9 a.m. he stopped by to introduce me to my new team, 5 talented marketing specialists who would be working under my direction to manage North Bay's various agency relationships. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd gone from managing a single account to overseeing all marketing partnerships, including whoever would now handle the Harbor Point relationship. Team, this is Addison Walker, our new Director of Client Strategy, David announced. Many of you already know her from her exceptional work at Harbor Point Communications. We're fortunate to have her expertise in-house. After introductions and a brief team meeting to outline priorities, David asked me to join him in the conference room. There I found several members of North Bay's executive team gathered around the table. Before you dive in completely, David explained, we wanted your input on an important decision. The company's chief financial officer spoke up. In light of recent changes, we're re-evaluating our relationship with Harbor Communications. Their contract is up for renewal next month. We value your perspective, added the chief marketing officer. You understand our needs and have first-hand knowledge of Harbor Point's capabilities. I could have easily recommended terminating the relationship. Swift, satisfying revenge against Victoria. The opportunity to deal a significant financial blow to Harbor Point was right in front of me. No one would question it. Business relationships ended all the time. But that wasn't who I was. Revenge might feel good momentarily, but professionalism would serve me better in the long run. I think we should evaluate Harbor Point on the same criteria as any other potential partner, I said carefully. Their work has been strong, but consistency and account management will be critical factors to consider moving forward. The email was sent at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, precisely 1 week after Victoria had fired me from Harbor Point. I hadn't orchestrated the timing. It was simply when North Bay's executive team finalized their decision after reviewing proposals from 3 competing agencies. David had given me the courtesy of seeing the email before it went out, though I had recused myself from the final decision to avoid any appearance of bias or impropriety. The message was professional and direct. After careful consideration of our marketing needs moving forward, North Bay Solutions has decided to transition our account to Meridian Creative, effective immediately. This decision reflects our evolving brand strategy and digital requirements. Addison Walker, our new Director of Client Strategy, will oversee the transition and serve as your point of contact. We appreciate our partnership and request all materials be transferred by end of business Friday. I imagined Victoria's reaction upon receiving the news. The shock, then the dawning realization of what had happened. Not only had she lost me, but now she had lost North Bay, a client representing nearly 30% of Harbor Point's annual revenue. And I would be the one managing the transition. The perfect professional revenge had fallen into my lap without my having to orchestrate it. I hadn't needed to badmouth Harbor Point or sabotage the relationship. The company's own shortcomings highlighted by my departure had done that for me. That afternoon I received a LinkedIn request from Jessica, Harbor Point's receptionist, followed by a private message. The office is chaos. Victoria's been in emergency meetings all day. 3 other account managers have updated their resumes. Karma works fast. I didn't reply immediately. There was no need to gloat or insert myself into Harbor Point's internal affairs. Instead, I focused on building my new team and establishing our processes. Success, after all, was the best revenge. Later, however, I did accept Jessica's connection request with a simple message. Thank you for your kindness during my time at Harbor Point. Wishing you all the best. Taking the high road felt surprisingly good. My new position at North Bay brought challenges and opportunities one would never have experienced had I remained at Harbor Point, waiting for recognition that might never come. Sometimes the best revenge isn't something you actively pursue. It's the natural consequence of valuing yourself when others don't. Looking back on that journey a year later, I realized that Victoria had inadvertently given me a precious gift. The push I needed to find my true worth. In seeking revenge, I found something far more valuable. Self-respect and the courage to claim the success I deserved.